Welcome to the game dungeon, the temporary dungeon, as we are now in a new space for a few months. And recorded this video because I wanted to post my initial thoughts of Midnight, the Midnight World of Warcraft expansion, which was just announced. Well, not just announced, it was announced at BlizzCon, which it went to back in 2023, and we just got the cinematic. And Gamescom, they did a bunch of reveals for content and stuff that's going to be in the game. So I'm doing these now, mostly for myself, so that way when I look back and in a year or in a year or two from now, I'm looking back and the expansion's probably going to be over. And we're heading to the last expansion, which I forget what it was, but something cool. The third part of the trilogy. I want to see if my expectations now will be matched then, or if, maybe I'll say something then I'll be a hypocrite because I said what I said today. So it's good for me to record these thoughts. So let's see. Um, they announced a few big things as the hot ticket items. Um, and I'm gonna just open. There we go. And I can see that. All right. So this is my favorite World of Warcraft website, MMO Champ. Um, let's start going down from most important or when I first wrote something down to least important, as in the last thing I wrote down. So the new race, which they're not really even doing new races anymore. Well, that's not true. Two expansions ago, they did a new race. The uh the Draconeer. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot their name. They're not really my thing. So, but they're very cool looking, and I like how they transform. But like War Within, we're not getting a new race. We're getting a what do they call them? Basically a reskin race. Which is interesting though, because they get a lot. They're very distinct. They have their own lore and racials, but they just share a skeleton with the Night Elves. The Harroneer, which we got to see in The War Within, which was interesting because I thought that, or maybe they're just trying something different because they're doing a triple expansion kind of thing. So we're just getting tastes of things in expansions and then the full meal, the next expansion. Um, the Harroneer, which are uh, the creatures that are, I would guess, evolutionary, or the what trolls would look like in between becoming night elves as they were near the Well of Eternity, or it could have just been instantaneous. But these look like this evolutionary middle missing link between trolls and night elves. And I like how they look. I mean, they have really distinct look to them. Kind of reminds me of Jack and Daxter. I don't know. Look at that. It kind of reminds me of something I'd see out of Jack and Daxter. The ears, the kind of the way that the fur is. I don't know. Maybe that's just what I'm getting. Let's see if you want to make a Jack and Daxter kind of character, you've got that kind of furry elf looking guy, furry elf troll. Very cool. I don't know anything about the racials except that oh, here we are. Uh, enveloping roots that can heal allies, damaging. That's pretty cool. Increased damage to aberrations, elementals. That's cool. Fast travel between world tree routes, which required discovering and unlocking. That is dope. Anything that is like requires a little extra adventuring to grow your character is dope. I have been Draenei. That's how I play mainly. And I love the healing ability as a paladin. It's just like another level of being alive and being durable. But these kind of racials I find are Definitely more interesting. I find that a lot of other races have more interesting racials. And that's cool. It's a cool one. I don't know if I'll ever roll a Harneer, but I could see people who would because they're dope looking. I think they're cool. So that's a cool little race. I would have liked to see an actual race as opposed, okay, allied race. Um, I would have liked to see another in race, but they introduced these guys in the War Within. They're well, we got a couple of little people, like a little sect of them that were in Kazalgar. Why they were there in Kazalgar, I'm not sure. Maybe we'll get more clues to that when they're Harandar, their race, where it is. Maybe it's near. Okay, the Rift of Alm. Oh, that's cool. Looks like they're very much tied to the Dream. The Rift of Alm. I think that was in the Emerald Dream. It leads to like the nightmare. I could be wrong about that. Um, I'd be wrong on my lord. But they look like they're tied to the World Tree. They're very much tied to, I think their goddess is Azeroth, if I'm guessing, just based on the one character we got from their race who was joining us in questing. She was getting those visions, which was we know is from Azeroth. Um, but I'm curious about them and their lore. Definitely they fit the druid archetype. Warlock, I wouldn't really see. Everything else here, yeah, I can see. Warlock always stands out, but races and classes is not really lore tied so much in this game as much as it used to be, which is fine, but some things are kind of think stupid, like Draenei Warlocks, for instance. Anyways, so oh yeah, Orwenya. Orwenya, that's our girl. We adventured with, turned into a bat and spied upon us and joined us in under with the goblins. Under I cannot remember anything right now. Undermine, pendejo. Uh, very cool. Like that. Devourer. The new race or race class for Void Elves and Demon Hunters. Yeah, cool. I don't really play Demon Hunter. I rolled one in Legion just to get their experience, starter Legion experience. I mean, I read the book Illidan, and so seeing that tied directly to the introduction to these this class to the game, which was awesome. And so yeah, it's a cool thing. Void Elves can be Demon Hunter now. They're basically Blood Elves. So the fact that they have their own like void version of Demon Hunters is sick. I like it. Cool introduction, a new third class variation for the Demon Hunter, and sick. Glaives, sheath on back. I like the Void Metamorphosis. I like how they're kind of a. I'm gonna curious how they play. I might try them just to see what a mid-range DPS. What does that mean? Because they're very much a in-your-face DPS right now in tank class. So jumping back and shooting some lasers and getting in there and getting the fray should be pretty cool. All right. Uh, the zones. So out of all of these, of course, I am most excited for Call the Lost, Eversong Woods, and Silver Moon. I rolled a Blood Elf during BC along with my Draenei. Draenei became my main, but everyone loves a Blood Elf. And I loved the introductory, especially the Blood Knights and their very distinct class identity when BC Burning Crusade first came out, just capturing Anaru and siphoning the light from them. Seeing Silver Moon all destroyed after Warcraft 3. I actually ended up playing Warcraft 3 after I played BC or around the same time. So I got to see and be the reason why Quelt the Lost was the way it was. And basically had the dead scar ripped through it. So I'm seeing all that healed and changed is going to be really interesting. That was a big, identifying thing for that zone. It's a pure Burning Crusade zone up until I guess now in midnight. It's cute. It's a instanced off. It's not directly connected to the world, but now it's going to be. So it will be this new Quell Lost, and I'm actually considering using my 80 because everybody gets a free 80 character to make a Blood Elf Paladin again. Or I might roll a new one and just run through that old Blood Elf quest if it's still in the game. Because I love the red, the Spellbreaker look, Paladin look. And I think it's dope. I don't usually run Blood Elves. I mean, I barely did it in BC, just the beginning, up to like level 20. Back in BC when the level cap was 70. Uh, but I love, I mean, of all the D&D classes, I play D&D, I always mainly run elves because they're better than humans and they're still identifiably humanoid. Besides, also run orcs if I can, but definitely elves. I have a main that's an elf, and I'd love to have him in WoW too. Secondary, Zulaman. I love the forest trolls and their antagonistic fight with the elves, their historical fight with the elves, and dealing with them in BC was one of my favorite things. BC was one of my favorite expansions. So the fact that we're getting a lot of this old BC stuff, uh, up, the world changes, and now it's this new version, and we can see what's happened since then. I love it. We're going to be teaming up a little bit with the Amani trolls. You cut off my hand. That's fucking love Zul'jin. Zul'jin's one of the coolest. His when they first started doing little cinematics in preparation for raids, the Burning Crusade, I love the Zul'jin cinematic. I cut off my own arm. Next, Harandar and Voidstorm, which I'm both kind of equally excited for. I have not done the most recent WoW patch War Within the final patch story, so I'm very much uh, unaware of the fate of Xal'atath and Dimensius, and that seems to be the big thing here connected to Voidstorm. That's the next level here. The Dominar are powerful, intelligent void creatures. Xal'atath and their culture are part of the Dominar. So th it's interesting to see more within up until now, we just thought the void was just this essence of basically the antithesis of the light, but not in like the fell way, just warping things, just dominating things, absorbing things, corrupting things, and just making things chaotic. And then we're with them and kind of find out there's like different sects of the void. The void is not all one team like the Fel, like the Burning Legion is all one team under Sargeras. The void does not have like this like one leader. Xal'atath was at war with the old gods. And seeing that quest was super dope. I'm so glad they added that in this expansion. And I think that was one of um the story quests you could just do with that Pandaren um, in in the main city. Seeing that, I was fascinated by that. I just love that new addition to the story. Seeing that is going to be cool. I'm very excited to see that. Harandar, it's going to be very much checking out this new race and seeing what they're about. Very cool. If I roll my druid around in this place, I think he'll feel right at home. I like the lore. I like the class identity. Maybe they'll have some night elf interaction that we'll see, and I like to see how maybe they'll who are you and what's your connection. So yeah, these new zones is very interesting because when I watched the reveal, I was like, oh, we're not really getting much in terms of zones, but it's only because like these two areas, this is always a small little. This was a raid, but now it's a whole zone. This is just a city zone, a beginner zone, but now it's a whole new top level zone. So this is the first time in WoW history where we've had like redos uh be the next highest tier zones or the newest expansion zones. Um We've had new uh, areas in the Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor be added to be higher end zones, like in Cataclysm, but they weren't existing before then. So this will be the first time we kind of get like a that kind of update, which is very interesting, very distinct, very new. I'm excited to see what this is about. So if I'm ranking these in excitement, highest here, Silver Moon and Quel'Thalas, second Zulaman. I'll put I'll put Voidstorm last, and then Harandar as my third place. Basically, how this is listed, first to last. All right, housing, which is the big thing we are gonna get. I'm really excited for it. I really haven't seen too much in it yet. I just seen the kind of like preview thing, but I read some of these new interviews today. This is from the 26th. This is brand new information. Um, I'm excited to see what's going to go on in the neighborhoods. I need more people in game that I'm friends with, so that way this is actually a fun thing for me because I think this is more of a community thing. You need to be playing with other people to really enjoy this. So. The fact that I don't do that often is not making this as exciting for me. But if I had a whole bunch of buddies, which is sad for me, I definitely would be putting this as like my number one. But this, I'm excited for this. It's always been requested as long as I played this game. I never really thought too much of it. It's not something I really personally wanted. I played Final Fantasy 14. I had no interest in doing any of that. And I only play that very, very casually. The fact that this is just going to be core integrated to the game, any way to do it is so it's leagues better than the way they do in 14, where it's very, very restricted money wise and availability wise. The player extreme experience has been streamlined for the beginner players. This has nothing to do with really me because I'm 20-year almost playing this game, but for new people and people that'd like to get into the game, like, hey, new friends, this is really cool the way they're gonna you start out in that Exile's Reach, which is level 1 through 70. Interesting. I'm gonna run through it a little bit just to see how they changed it to match up to the Dragon Isles because I saw it before. It's obviously got its own little separate story. It's fun. It's very much showing the new way WoW was designed in Dragonflight. Um, Kind of a little kiddish in my opinion. It's not, but. The art style and or the narrative style of Warcraft has kind of changed. I think because of the new generation of individuals working on it, they're not the same metalheads, rock and roll guys who made the game, and that kind of character was definitely felt in the original games. The new people who made these games are very I always laugh because there's always a hint of truth in this parody, and people maybe don't get mad at me, but the blue-haired people or the half-shaved head people, it's obviously there's nothing wrong with doing that, but that represents an idea of people which is a little more soft in my opinion. It's a little more obviously it's inclusive, which is great. I'm down with seeing more brown people and women and shit and as the protagonists and more character placement than before. But some of the beyond that, the actual content of what they're dealing with, like I would see if I could see like a Valkyrie just fucking ripping a Cold's head off. We're just taking down these motherfuckers. Yeah, that's fucking cool. But it's kind of a little softer than that. I feel like it's very soft sometimes, and that's what kind of shown here. It's okay. It's still good, in my opinion. It's enjoyable. Not how I would design it personally. I'd do it a little more metal personally. Personally. Anyways, it's cool because then you go straight to Dragon Isles, straight to War Within, and it gets you caught up to 70. Doing all those in like a very streamlined, well level way of doing the Dragonflight expansion, which is really cool, and War Within expansion too. I'm curious. I might run a new character and tune through that, maybe my Blood Elf Paladin. Uh, yeah, although I wouldn't give him Quaffle, so I don't know about that. But it's cool and for new people and Maybe it'll bring new people like people I've been trying to get into WoW forever. So I think that's a good addition. That's very much forward thinking of Blizzard to change that, make it more accessible for new players. New dungeons, I'm always kind of about dungeons. I jump in them, and sometimes I miss dungeons because I just like because they do all these like time walking events, and sometimes I like there's no like initiative for me to do the current content dungeons, and I'm like, oh shit, well, I see later in time like oh, I never ran that. What is that? I played every expansion. What dungeon is that? It's because I just didn't do it, which is kind of lame. That's cool to bring about Magisterians. Hell yes. That's one of my favorites from BC. So I'm curious to see how it's updated. I'm down for these freaking void and these look like ethereal, almost ethereal kind of creatures. Seeing the ethereals back and seeing their connection to the people in the Shadowlands is very interesting. These are all going to be dope, I'm sure. But I'm not going to see anything about them until the expansion releases, so I can't give too much of an opinion about that. Raids, I barely ever touch raids, but you know what? The fact that there's three, hell yeah, that's fucking cool. Normally, I don't know if we get that many raids to begin an expansion, so um, we'll see about that. The Dream Rift, hell yeah. March on Quel'Danas. Well, I need to do that. Fuck yes. Quel'Danas was one of my favorite raids too. Basically everything from that Quel'Thalas, I'm really, really fucking hyped. The prey system, where are you? Where's the prey? Um, pray. You're here somewhere. Probably the next page. That's cool. I'm definitely gonna opt in, and if and in war mode too. And if I've no, that's not it. If I have people trying to frickin' NPCs trying to murder me while I'm out questing, hell yeah, but give me some of that. Give me some like fear while I'm playing the game. I think that's really dope. That's not what I expected. It's something just random, and fuck yeah, let's do it. That's a good addition. PvP, Slayer's Rise. Yeah, 40v40. I love Epic Battlegrounds. I'm all about the PvP. It's my one of my most favorite parts of the game. And I will be in the Voidstorm area up on that war mode, killing as many hordes as possible. Striking down the light's justice upon orc, elf, um, little furry. I can't believe that. I can't even remember all the races. That's how sucky I am. The little furry fox guys. They're cool. Let me be clear, I like them, but I just forgot their name. UI updates. Yeah. Where is it? Where is it? DPS meters. I hate using add-ons, and I would love to know how much I'm doing in damage. So this is so good for me. I always play DPS, and finally I'm going to be able to know how much I suck compared to everybody else because I know I'm not optimal in my builds. I play what I like. I've always been that way. And I remember I got laughed at by some fucking rando kid at BlizzCon for playing a Draenei Paladin, Red Paladin. Draenei, like it was and my brother over here says he's gonna roll his eyes, and I've told the story 100 times, but he like literally laughed to my face for the fact that I was in person, so I'll give him that. I was like, I was Drill's drunk too. I was like, you just lucky I didn't throw a punch. But I told him, I was like, hey, you kind of being a total noob. I mean, play what you want to play. Who the fuck cares what kind of race you are? I mean, that's all these cool races. I'm not trying to run mythics in the top. I barely run mythics to begin with. I just like the game. You see my insecurities. How dare you make fun of my character? Uh, Transmog 2.0. Yeah, I like this that you just be in the house, you have an outfit, open world delves. I'm gonna be definitely capitalizing that with my Draenei. I'm gonna be definitely having some different fits for hopefully there's a PvP situation too. Battlegrounds. So yeah, battleground fighting. It's gotta be more spikes and stuff. Out there adventuring. Got my Draenei heavy armor gleaming and at home just some sort of Draenei outfit, chill outfit. Boss timers, some new bots and raid stuff. I'm excited to see that. Nameplates. Cool. I think it's just gonna look cool. What else? That's basically it. So all in all, I'm pretty excited. The cinematics. I don't know, because they're trying to tell a story. It doesn't have the same impact on me as previous cinematics did. Because a cinematic before this trilogy was just supposed to represent a general vibe for the expansion. Um, you think Burning Crusade, think Cataclysm, it tells you who's the main baddie or who's a baddie, what you're gonna see, kind of hints of it. As soon as you started getting to War with, I can't even remember what the War Within's intro is. I know there was two. There's the one which is really, really cool. They showed at BlizzCon where it's Thrall and Anduin, and they're there getting the visions. But that's kind of like a story cinematic in the vein of in BFA, we got those really sublime cinematics with Sourfang. They told a story, but they were not an expansion cinematic. They were the same quality, but they didn't describe as an expansion. These new cinematics are very much telling the next story, part of this overarching narrative. So to me, it's not showing the Harandir. Maybe we'll get another expand cinematic. That'd be sick. I would like that, like we did with War Within. Um, and which is weird because the Harandir were shown in the cinematic for War Within. That was like they were given a whole piece of the cinematic. You think they would have been a bigger part of that expansion? They were part of it, but I don't know if they were big enough to be, you know, that. I hope we do get another cinematic, one that kind of shows the Void and Harrendir, the Amani, kind of touching on these different pieces. You can still have your main characters who are definitely being featured in these now, more focusing on the lore characters as opposed to the adventurers, which is cool, and that's part of it. But I don't know, the cinematic didn't get me as well. I do think that Liadrin looks a bit masculine, in my opinion. Take it or leave it. And she just, it's just, and on the eyes, I know the eyes aren't always glowing, but it did seem a little like subdued, like the way they had the glisten, the glowing eyes. I know you can always see the pupil and the iris and stuff in cinematics and even in art, but it did seem a bit subdued, and she did seem a little masculine looking. But everything else looks sick. I mean, the whole of it looked great. She looked great in terms of the way they designed her action stuff, and Lord Thamar as well. All in all, I give it a 7 out of 10. It's not my favorite, but I'm excited. So yeah, those are my thoughts on War Within as Midnight. So far, I'm hyped for it. I gotta play more WoW, but I'm trying to beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, or yeah, Rebirth. Yeah, before I play any other video games, because that game is taking me forever to beat. All right, peace.